Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is an ongoing series, the top 100 games everybody should play. So I'm continuing the series, top 100 video games that you should play before you die, and we're up to number 50, and this is the original Gauntlet in the arcade. Gauntlet is an interesting franchise because it came out at a time when we really didn't have fantasy role playing games yet. So it kind of scratched that D&D fantasy RPG type itch. It's a dungeon crawler, shooter type game. Not really a shoot 'em up, but you use projectile weapons in the game, but you're like fantasy creatures. So you're like an archer, a wizard, a dwarf that throws axes, things like that. But it's a really fun game. Unfortunately, they haven't done a lot with the franchise over the years because it just never really evolved that much. Number 49 is Galaga for the arcade. This is where another one where we're really starting to see the shoot 'em up genre start to develop, and this is just a classic game. There's also Galaxian, but Galaga's the better name. Number 48, probably one of the earliest what we would call shoot 'em ups or space shooters. Space Invaders also for the arcade, but they're really any version of Space Invaders will do the trick. The game's just fantastic. Also for the arcade, I highly recommend The Simpsons. This is a good four-player arcade game. Great fun game. Came out at the height of the Simpsons craze and is one of the best games of that era to feature the Simpsons characters. Stay away from the 8-bit and 16-bit games at all costs. Number 46 is Space Harrier for the arcade. This is a new type of game that Sega created. It is a sort of shoot 'em up style space shooter type game, but it's in pseudo 3D. So this was another one that was kind of prepping us for the 3D revolution that was about to hit. So really worth checking out for the primitive 3D graphics, sort of 3D graphics. It's 2D sprites, but it's sort of 3D gameplay, and I have to say sort of. But it is an early example of game developers trying to get us ready for 3D gaming. Number 45 is Super R-Type for the SNES. Really, any R-Type game should do you, but this is, in my opinion, the best one, and it's the only one I like to go back to. Number 44 is Quake for the PC. Now, Doom, really popularized first person shooters, but Quake took first person shooters to the next level, and it's definitely worth experiencing. 43 is MechWarrior 2 for the PC. Now, I specify the PC version because the home console versions are a different game. They play completely different. This was the game that really helped show that you could do 3D mech type games. And basically, all 3D mech games are basically based on what this game did. Number 42 is Portal, and I specified the Xbox 360 version. I believe there's a PC version. I'm not 100%, but you should play this on the Xbox 360 because that's where it was introduced. And it's the definitive Xbox 360 game. Number 41, I put down SimCity Classic for the PC, but you could also play SimCity for the Super NES. Now, they are technically two different games, or two different versions of the same game. They're both really good. I prefer the Super Nintendo version because it's got all that fun, quirky Nintendo stuff added to it, but either version's good. Number 40 is Adventure for the Atari 2600. This is the very first game that really created, I guess, the dungeon crawler type gameplay for consoles. So it helped sort of lay the groundwork for, like, Zelda and Final Fantasy and stuff like that. There may have been PC games that were doing the same thing, so I'm specifying this is the first one that really did this on consoles. And it was, you know, a pretty big deal at the time. Number 39 is another Zelda game everybody should play. Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. Now, I put down the Wii version, but there is an HD remake for the Wii U that's just as good. Either one will work. This is, to me, the best 3D Zelda game. Like, the best one. This was, like, the formula perfected of the traditional 3D Zelda games, and I think this one's much, much, much better than Breath of the Wild. Number 38 is Double Dragon. Now, I specified the arcade version. You really should play that one if you can. But some of the home console versions are good too. They're just not as good as the arcade version. Next, we have Castlevania, number 37, for the Nintendo Entertainment System. The NES Castlevania is where the Castlevania got its start, essentially. And I know there's an arcade game and there was a PC game as well, but the NES is the one you want to play. Because it's where the game was introduced to the masses. Number 36 is Tekken 3 for the PlayStation. Again, I know there's an arcade version, but this is one of the few instances where the PlayStation version is actually better. Excuse me. And that's the one you're going to want to play. Number 35, Dr. Mario for the NES. Don't waste your time on the Game Boy version. Get the NES version. This is the first big Nintendo puzzle game. I know they did publish Tetris for the NES and the Game Boy, but they didn't. Tetris isn't their game. They just did a port of it. They also did a port of it for the DS as well, but Dr. Mario's a better game, people. Number 34 is Fable for the PC, but you could also get it on the Xbox. Fable is like the definitive console Western-style D&D type role-playing game. And it's really the game that it's like the best fantasy role-playing game I've ever played, period. Number 33, another Legend of Zelda game. This one is Ocarina of Time for the Nintendo GameCube. Not the definitive 3D Zelda, but the first 3D Zelda, and still holds up today. Really fantastic game. 32 is Super Mario Kart for the Super Nintendo. Now, I know you're going to play more modern Mario Karts anyways, but everybody needs to play the first one because this is where it got its start. And it's quite impressive how much of Mario Kart is there at the very beginning. So it's still a very good game. Number 31 is Star Wars Rogue Squadron 2 for the GameCube. Now, the N64 game is fine, but this is like the definitive version of that game. Number 30 is Final Fantasy III for the Super Nintendo. Now, I know people are going to point out that it's actually Final Fantasy VI. We all know this, but I have to mention it because assholes are going to bring it up in the comments if I don't. This is a great game, and one of the best JRPGs ever. And one of the best, probably the best, I'll say it, Super Nintendo RPG. That other one everybody loves, you know I don't. If you watch my videos, I hate that game, so don't even fucking bring it up. Number 29, Tales of Symphonia for the GameCube. I know it's on other consoles, but I played it on the GameCube, and damn, it's a damn good game, especially on the GameCube. The GameCube didn't get a lot of love, but this is one of the best games on the GameCube. Speaking of which, number 28, Resident Evil 4 on the GameCube. Now, obviously, you know, the Wii remake and the more modern HD remakes might be better. But if you can play it on the original version, it came out on the GameCube first. This was a GameCube exclusive temporarily before it was ported to other consoles later. But you should really play the original GameCube version if you can. Because this is Resident Evil perfected. They haven't done a good Resident Evil, a Resident Evil game as good as this since. Number 27 is Halo. Now, I specified again the Xbox version, but the PC version, if you got a PC that can play it, which you should at this point in time, is still really good. But the Halo on the Xbox is the one that made everything that we play today. First-person shooters, multiplayer, online first-person shooters. Although this one was not online. Halo 2 was the first one that was actually online, but this one did have multiplayer. And Halo, actually I take that back. I don't know if this one was online. I think Halo 2 was the first one that was online, but Halo 2 is also a good game. So I probably could have put Halo 2 here, but Halo the original, you got to play it. You should also play Halo 2, but it's not on the list. But number 26 is Gran Turismo 2 for the Sony PlayStation. Gran Turismo was a good game, and it really, took racing games to the next level. And 2 just, did it better. So that's 26 through 50. I got one more video. Stay cool.